Hello everyone and welcome to a new video interview for Jogonet Gaming News. Today we are joined by Todd, Vice President of Sales in America for gaming manufacturer SUZOHAPP. The company is set to showcase its latest products at the upcoming edition of the SBC Summit North America, taking place between May 9 and 11 in New Jersey. Todd will be discussing this event with us, along with latest novelties in SUZOHAPP's portfolio. Hello, Todd, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, good to be with you. Thanks a lot.
Well, so SUZOHAPP will be exhibiting at SBC North America and then later at the Canadian Gaming Summit, right?
Right.
So with SBC taking place in the next few days, what can you tell us about the company's product lineup for the show, and what are your expectations for this important event?
Yeah, well, SBC, it's been a really good event for us over the last couple of years. And it just keeps growing and becomes even more important, I think, to that part of the market for sports betting. But we'll be showing, our existing lineup of products for sports betting, which include the podium-style kiosk, a cash redemption terminal, our bar top unit, and we have two different flavors of that bar top unit, and our I'll call it a time on device, or it's a sit down unit where somebody can sit and relax and watch a game. But our focus is really on retail sports betting, and how do we maximize and the overall experience in a retail sports betting environment. And so we've added some new products, and we have a long pipeline of products that we're bringing to the market. One of the ones that's really exciting is additional signage and enclosures in a retail market to make the retail kiosks pop, make it really known what that unit is for, what it does, a lot of extra marketing, and bring additional attention to the kiosk, because I think that's something really important. When I walk around and see retail sports books, a lot of them are, particularly when you walk into casinos, it's not immediately obvious what those kiosks are for unless you're already a sports betting or already a sports bettor. So I think the additional signage is an important piece. And then we've got another device that it's really exciting. It takes advantage of an existing footprint that's already out there in the field that we can bring sports betting to. But I'm going to keep that a secret for those people that come visit us at the booth.
Okay, and I understand that you will also be participating in a panel at the show. Mm-hmm. What topics will you discuss there? And in general terms, what sorts of conversations do you expect to have at SBC, right, where so many key stakeholders will be meeting?
Yeah, so the panel is about omni-channel as it relates to the sports coliseums and stadiums. So how to blend the online experience with the in-stadium experience. I think stadiums are particularly interesting and exciting for sports betting, because that's when I think it's the easiest place or the most obvious location to take a sports fan and convert them into a sports bettor. And there's such a small segment of the overall population here in the US that are already sports bettors who are going to sign up for a mobile account. And that market is, it's probably getting close to saturation now, and the cost of new customer acquisition is very, very high. So where can these sports betting platforms and operators go and get new players and convert folks? Right. There's no better place than a stadium. Now, having that experience be friendly to and inviting to a new player, I think, is important. Cost is important because stadiums aren't open there's not a game every day. So what equipment goes into that stadium that makes the most sense, and how to blend all that. And so it'll be an interesting panel for sure.
For sure. So, well, as we were saying, sports betting has grown so much over the last few years. As we were saying, there are even markets reaching perhaps a saturation point. And what many wonder is what will happen next. What I wanted to know is, in your opinion, what do you see as the next step for the industry? And in what direction is customer demand advancing?
Yeah, well, the next step for the industry, I think, is a real focus on retail. Retail is where growth will come, and there's a lot of benefits to retail. I mean, there's the obvious benefit which is gaining new players, right? So taking that, again, that sports fan and converting them into a sports bettor it's much easier to do that in a retail environment, because somebody can walk up and just put a $20 bill into a kiosk and place a bet on a game or a team that maybe they never would have thought of betting on before, right? And as soon as they do that, now you've got that conversion, and now you've got that opportunity to get that person to sign up for your loyalty club, your players club, your platform. I mean, these are golden opportunities that are relatively cheap. They're relatively inexpensive when you compare it to the online, trying to get customer loyalty on the mobile piece. And retail is targeting a vast ocean of people who aren't going to sign up for a mobile account and share their Social Security number and put money on deposit and go through all the all the steps that are required right away. I mean, hopefully they will, or eventually they will, but in the beginning, it's a whole lot easier, again, just to walk up, put some money into a kiosk, print off a bet slip, and you're ready to go. But
yes,
but there's also a lot of collateral benefits to retail sports betting, and the next one is in-play betting. So a podium style kiosk really isn't the right type of equipment for in-play, right? And because you can't stand at a podium during the entire game, and there's probably going to be a queue of people behind you waiting to place their bets too. So something more like a bar top unit is the right type of device in a retail setting to capture that in-play betting. And in-play betting then drives increased spend on food and beverage, which in many cases, that's where the money's made. Because if it's halftime, or it's, your team is losing, or your bet, whatever bet you had placed is not doing well, if you're able to place new bets and place new micro bets and do more fun things to keep you engaged in the event, whatever event that it is that you're watching, you'll stay in the facility and you'll spend more money on food and beverage. So retail is very, very important, and it needs to be looked at in its totality, the type of money that can be made there.
Right. Yes. It of course is a driver to other benefits and ways in which to make money. And just to go more in depth with this topic, what things would you say are important for operators to keep in mind when developing a successful retail operation? Because some operators perhaps are hesitant to create large retail footprints because they may think that it will imply a high cost for them. But as we were saying, retail can actually be more cost effective for operators. Can you also explain how this model maximizes their earnings? Well, you were saying, of course, that it also helps you drive demand in other segments, but what should they keep in mind when considering going retail?
Yeah, good question, because there is a lot to consider, because I think a lot of the retail market so far has been looks kind of like an afterthought to me. It's take a podium kiosk, throw it on the floor, and say, okay, now we got retail, and that's not drawing people, and it's not in an inviting way, and it doesn't advertise to people what it is and what it can do, and so it's and it's expensive. So if kiosks aren't cheap, they're going to cost you $8,000 or so. So you want to make sure that that investment is really going to pay off. And it's got to pay off by bringing new players in, by helping your labor cost. There's a lot of different ways to look at it and how it's going to pay off. But some real thought needs to go into how we deploy retail and what is the right equipment and the right way to deploy it within that retail setting, so that cost, and the cost of putting that in actually pays off in the end. And so we do a lot of consulting with our customers, working with them, talking through what their approach is. And I think the sports betting platforms and the operators are doing that. I see more and more of them now, and I have more conversations every day with folks like really giving this some good consideration. And so the market is swinging towards the retail side, and there's new ideas and new ways to deploy that need to be explored. I think the days of just putting a podium style kiosk on the floor and hoping that it generate something are gone. The whole market is evolving to use, or implement a lot of new types of products.
But this was exactly what I was about to ask you, that if you consider that more and more operators are now leaving behind this idea that retail is an afterthought and considering it an important part of their operation. Do you see that this is definitely the trend, that they are now paying more attention? And what about the near future? Is this growing as a trend?
Absolutely, yeah, it has to. It's mobile remains very compelling. I mean, your costs are a lot lower. It's long term. I think that's where you want your customers, or the majority of your customers, to migrate to a mobile account. But you got to get them signed up first. And in a retail, there's so many benefits to retail, from new customer acquisition to increased total revenues on sports betting, to increased revenues on food and beverage. I mean, there's so many reasons to go retail that the market has to go that way.
And lastly, what I would like to ask you about is what SUZOHAPP is currently offering operators at the moment. The company describes its offerings as forming part of an ecosystem. What does this term exactly imply, and what would you say sets SUZOHAPP's business proposition apart from its competitors?
Yeah. So yeah, we refer to it as an ecosystem because it's self-contained, right? And it's cyclical. So everywhere from placing the bet up front, to monitoring the bet, to be able to cash out your bet. So at the very end, say, okay, how do I do this? Now I won my bet. Now how do I turn this back into money? Cash redemption terminal is a big part of that. And so we were the first to bring our technology partners together to bring cash redemption terminals, which we see traditionally on gaming floors everywhere, right, for slot machines. But we were the first to do it for sports betting, and it's going fantastic. It's clearly something that's needed. We've got a lot of projects, and these things are moving quickly. So bringing that whole entire system together is why we refer to it as an ecosystem.
Well, again, Todd, thank you so much for joining us today, and we are really looking forward to the company's participation at SBC. So again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Hope to see everybody at SBC, and if we don't see you there, give me a call. I'd be happy to set up a different presentation time.